NASA and Elon Musk just showed off the Lightspeed engine, a rocket that goes against the laws of physics and could get people to Mars in weeks instead of months. They're using their new interplanetary transport system ship to test it right now. In this essay, we'll talk about what the speed engine is, how it works, and why it could change the way people go to space. The goal was to make a disruptive engine inside the company that could cut down on launch costs. The goal is to get $5 million. NASA calls this a big step forward, and Elon Musk says it's amazing. Why? Because a small group of NASA engineers recently tested what is being called a new type of rocket engine that's much better than anything on Earth right now. And you might be thinking, how could anyone top that? Well, what if I told you that there are plans in the works to make it even better? A lot better. NASA just finished testing a new kind of engine that could make space travel faster and cheaper. Most of the military rockets use chemical things. This is not only hard and expensive, but it also limits how much weight can be lifted off the ground. What about the new engine that's being tried out? It uses a different kind of fuel, which is electricity that you plug into a wall socket. It may seem strange at first. Musk and a group of NASA scientists showed off their plans for a new rocket called the Raptor in September. It can handle more than 500,000 pounds of force and runs on liquid methane instead of kerosene, which means it releases 30% less carbon dioxide. But before it can be sent into space, engineers have to show that it works here on Earth. In an interview with Mashable, Steve Jurczyk, Associate Administrator for NASA's Space Technology Mission Directorate, said, "I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do short flights, sort of up and down flights, maybe in the first part of next year." What are they building though? It's basically a huge, super heavy lift launch vehicle and booster rocket that can send 170 metric tons into low Earth orbit. To put this into perspective, SpaceX's new heavy lift rocket, Falcon Heavy, can lift 54 metric tons. This means that, in theory, a single Raptor engine could replace all three of the Merlin engines used on the Falcon 9's first stage right now. The Raptor is also different because it runs on liquid methane instead of kerosene. The thing is that methane is far better for the environment and has another plus point that is easier to make than other types of rocket fuel, but it's also very hard to work with. Because it takes so much energy to turn methane into liquid, traditional rocket engines can't use it as a propellant. They would catch fire because they can't handle the pressure and the heat. But it looks like SpaceX is almost ready to figure out how to use that power with Raptor. The experimental engine uses methane as a fuel and liquid oxygen as an oxidizer to make 420,000 pounds of thrust, which is a lot more than what United States standards call for. The EM drive makes thrust by bouncing microwaves back and forth inside a small chamber. Electromagnetic fields are made when these back and forths happen. These fields can cause a reaction that is equal and opposite, which speeds up the object in one direction. To power it, you must use solar energy or some other type of external energy source, such as another spacecraft like a satellite or a ground station that receives radio waves. Now, scientists working on a NASA-funded project have found that some things that were thought to be impossible are, in fact, possible. EagleWorks Labs has finished testing an EM drive, which is short for electromagnetic drive, in conditions that are in deep space. Since the findings haven't been confirmed by other scientists yet, we won't know if they can be repeated until other teams get their own EM drives and do their own research, which should happen in 2017. Where does the power come from? The EM drive is a controversial piece of tech. It goes against the third law of Newton, which says that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you fire something from a rocket ship, it will go in a different direction, even if it's just air molecules that bounce off of it. On the other hand, the EM drive can only push in one direction. So how do you use it? Musk makes science fiction seem like it could be real. SpaceX says that it's tried out a way to move that goes against the laws of physics. The engine that moves the rocket forward uses electrically charged gas to reach 65 kilometers per second or 135,000 miles per hour. The fuel tanks are made of carbon fiber, which is light and cool. It doesn't utilize fuel, thus it doesn't pollute space. Wired says that magnetic fields speed up superheated plasma in the engine. This gets rid of the gases made by burning. These are electric thrusters, but they don't work the same way as the Falcon 9 engines made by SpaceX. Compressed gas gives thrust, while electric thrusters make a charged plasma that sends out ions. SpaceX electric engine is stronger than regular gridded ion thrusters and could power trips to Mars with people on board. By using less fuel, it could also cut down on the time it takes for cargo to get to space. Before people can go into space, the technology needs to be tested more. NASA experts say it looks good on paper. Can we really move through space at such high speeds? Elon Musk says he can get around space quickly. His goal is to build a ship that can go as fast as light and get to Mars in 70 days. This engine goes against the laws of physics, which would help him go 186,000 miles per second. But why? Why did NASA fund him? What could we do in space besides what Elon says he can do? How do light-speed engines work? There are many ways to travel at the speed of light, but first we need to figure out what light is. It has an effect on every atom that it meets. When there's nothing to do, it stops. Because of these things, light may be able to travel 186,000 miles per hour through empty space. Since nothing can move faster than light without breaking the laws of physics, we must find another way to get to a faraway star in our lifetime. How long until we reach light speed? We now measure speed by how far we go in a certain amount of time. To travel at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, you have to speed up past that speed and stay there forever. In special relativity, Einstein calls this speed c. Studies and ideas suggest that humans could get close to the speed of light in our lifetimes. People used to think that our technology couldn't get close to the speed of light. Some people think it will take tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. We're still amazed by science and technology. Scientists have made an engine that can go 10% as fast as light. This was thought to be impossible with the technology that we have now. Space travel is made easier by engines that move quickly. If NASA gets it right, their new light-speed engine could speed up space travel within a decade. No one knows who they'll be up against. Jeff Bezos of Amazon and Elon Musk of SpaceX are both in the commercial spaceflight business. Both companies use Musk and Bezos' new technology to focus on space travel, Blue Origin. So far, all three of these businesses have done well. The Falcon Heavy rocket just took off from SpaceX, but one of its rockets fell back to Earth. Blue Origin recently did a successful test of its BE-4 rocket engine. Both SpaceX and Blue Origin have made improvements in space travel. Only 3 private companies have ever successfully launched and landed a spaceship. This year, SpaceX launched its most powerful rocket, with plans to take 2 tourists on a trip around the moon next year. Hopefully, there'll be 2 of 7 private citizens to depart Earth's orbit. Space travel is being worked on by 3 companies. Blue Origin and SpaceX say they would rather send goods into space than people. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like it and subscribe to this channel.